But there are 26 million applicants, 16 million of which have already been approved for the program to have all or some of their debt forgiven. They're now in limbo as White House officials deal with what was, to many who focused on the legal side of this, a sort of predictable scenario. And yet here's President Biden from just a few hours ago.
As Americans continue to recover from the pandemic, my administration has been working to provide student debt relief to millions of working and middle-class families across the country. But Republican special interests and elected officials sued to deny this relief, even for their own constituents. But I'm completely confident my plan is legal.
Well, he's a lot more confident than many legal experts who've pointed to holes in this plan from the start. The legal problem is the plan is based on what's called the HEROES Act, which was passed back in 2003 for vets fighting in Afghanistan and Iraq after the 9/11 terror attacks. It allows for the education secretary to waive debt obligations in times of war or national emergency. The White House is claiming that national emergency now is the COVID-19 pandemic, which is a reach. Many did not think a piece of legislation designed for times when the nation is at war would apply to a now fading pandemic. And only now, finally, has the administration stopped taking new applications, implicitly recognizing and conceding the scope of the legal challenge. But even with the future of the program so uncertain, the federal government had still started notifying people they qualify to have their debt relieved. Quote, "We reviewed your application and determined that you are eligible for loan relief under the plan." Education Secretary Miguel Cardona's email said, "We have sent this approval on to your loan servicer. You do not need to take any further action." And it goes on. Unfortunately, a number of lawsuits have been filed challenging the program, which have blocked our ability to discharge your debt at present. We believe strongly that the lawsuits are meritless and the Department of Justice has appealed on our behalf. Now, there are a number of issues before the court, both procedural and substantive. But even if the administration believes that they can still win, as they claim, I think they still owe it to the millions who are now in waiting to give them a straightforward and honest assessment of the future, not a politicized best-case scenario. And so to help us do that, to get a straightforward analysis, we're joined now by national higher education reporter for the Washington Post, Danielle Douglas-Gabriel. Thank you so much for coming on the program. Appreciate it. All right, so let me ask you, so in terms of where we are today, do you think that I'm being unfair to the administration in saying that they have not adequately warned these millions of people who may be counting on this money that the legal challenges here are serious?
I mean, the funny thing is, as I was listening to you, I was remembering a source of mine who, on the day the president announced this program, said almost the exact same thing that you did, that the administration was not preparing people for the inevitability of litigation, which is what we're seeing playing out here. So no, it's not, it certainly is not a far reach to think about how kind of unprepared some borrowers were for where we are at this stage. On the other hand, I think the administration is trying to put forward a face of confidence, and you see that in Biden's constant, robust defense of this program, a program that early on he wasn't initially on board with, as we saw in a lot of kind of the vacillating over the last year about the scope of this program and even actually announcing any kind of relief. So it's an interesting place where we are right now, but it certainly was not unpredictable.
Yeah, I guess my concern with the face of confidence is that I do feel when you're talking about millions who this is real money to, I mean, are really counting on this money, regardless of what anyone thinks about the policy, good idea, bad idea, regardless, it's happening according to the administration. So these millions are coming to rely on this money. And now you hear in the latest statements from the Biden administration that they're suggesting, well, it's not our fault. All these people are waiting in limbo. Well, of course they're waiting in limbo because, of course, this is going to be challenged in the courts. And they had a much more, I think, significant obligation to share that with the American public. So as far as where we are today, they're saying that they're extending the pause. As a practical matter, what does that mean?
Essentially, what that means is payments on federal student loans will resume 60 days after the department is allowed to either implement the program or the litigation is resolved.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.